Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have Mr. Wick. Caught my eye here. He didn't want to join his bottom lane on this tumultuous adventure of First Bloods, which I agree with. You gotta smite, ignite graves. Let's just defend the entrances. Let's just have a safe time. Good advice for everyone once you have your vaccines, by the way. However, Sunfire buffs, 100% to 150% bonus damages. You add that with the Tiamat, you add that to the Titanic Hydra, and then you just build tank. Dead Man's Nerf doesn't affect us. You're looking at a champion who does misleading amounts of damage, who is misleadingly tanky, and now can really accentuate his disrupt, peel, damage, and so on playstyle. Runes on your screen now? I'm usually more of a last stand kind of person. I will not lie to you. I do think that's a little bit better in a lot of circumstances. However, here, you got a lot of squishies, so bonus proc damage is always nice, but it's a very standard rune set. You will not go wrong, whatever your personal choice. In this game, we're going to have a Warwick really try and take over. And no, I don't mean in the cliche sense. I mean very much in sort of a total jungling kind of guide, you know? He has to gank, he has to be everywhere, he has to control fights and objectives. And let me just zoom out with our software. There we go. You can see from the kill spacing in the timeline, it's one of those games where if you aren't in the right place at the right time, if you don't capitalize on jungle positioning, you will not have fun. Now at this stage, obviously, Graves is one of those enigmas. Is he invading me? Is he not? You have to pay very close attention to where he started. And in this case, it was pretty obvious that he got a leash. The Lee Sin was late to lane. So we know he most likely is going to look for something like this. Or he could try and do a 4-camp into an invade, which means buff, buff, buff. And then maybe try and do something. So what our Warwick does here, and I kind of like it in terms of a ganking thing, is 3-camp into action. This, when the buffs come through, and I'll do a video and a talk on the jungle changes in for 11.10, don't worry about that. But this kind of playstyle will definitely be significantly more useful. And now, of course, wait. You save your E here, we wait for his E to come back, and then we can fear through and get a flash. Well played, well played, well played. Got the Zillion Bomb, perfect. A little tight, but actually very nicely done. Now at this point, you know the Graves, so the top side, he hasn't shown on the top lane at all. He hasn't collapsed from the top lane in terms of a counter gank, so we know he's on the bottom side of the map. The downside to this kind of play, right, especially when you have to stick around to push to force CPs, is you know that this bottom crab is now corrupted. It is pure evil. You don't have bottom lane prio. I mean, we could gank that. Mid lane wants to reset, but basically the Graves has dominion over this part of the game. The map, rather, not the game. Now, because of that tracking, right, they know exactly where you've gone and what you want to do. So this ward is especially good. We know Graves is here. Bottom lane should anticipate this. Now, Graves, if he's good, could look to do a multitude of things. He could wall hop, collapse in the red, or he could even be sneaking it already and then use that positioning to fall back to the crab instead of doing the crab initially. Or, if he chose to do the crab and not invade the Warwick, he could go through the tri-bush and then gank a bottom lane who are overcommitting and have not used their ADC's trinket, which I think in this case is kind of dumb. You should know if the jungler gets leashed here and is sequencing at least a 5-camp down, we would anticipate at the very least a 5-camp, if not a 6-camp. You know at around 3 minutes, 3:15, when this crab spawns, he could look to make an action, a play before the crab, especially when your jungler, Warwick, has done a 3-camp and circled to mid lane and used this flash. So there's a disrespect here by the bottom lane, but Kog'Maw got buffs, right? Morgana's strong. Varus is strong too, though. So let's see what happens. I like the ward in general. I think I would have hit the plant. Because now he could still be here, right? We don't exactly know. Let's see. No. He's chosen to do this. Actually, we could look at his pathing in a second. But I would have loved to see someone hit this plant. Definitely. Just to see, is he on crab? Is he in this area? And of course, Graves chooses, to gank. And I like that. Morgana's a champion, though. She's a champion. TB is forced from the Zillion, which is a result of our gank on the top side. They just died to the Varus, which is great. We don't want to give anything to the enemy jungler. I wish bottom lanes would do this. He does get something. Warwick, we'll look at in a second. Wait, hold on. There you go. And Yone's gonna rotate now, no? I love Warwick for this. And he has water walking and celerity, right? So this is huge. You're gonna die. He didn't get the follow through, but that's actually nutty. I did not expect that turnaround. Alright, so assessment. Would have liked to hit this just to see what's going on. Like that he kind of used the ward for defense. It's always good. The Graves yeeted and scanned to collapse in the bottom lane. The Cogmore dies instead of feeding it to the Graves. I like this too. And then the Warwick says, screw you guys, I'm going tower diving. And I did that the other day myself in my games. Obviously, I have 500k on the champion, which is still only my third or fourth most. I mean, I've got a lot of champions that are like bunched up in terms of mastery points. Very high amounts. He chooses to go for this and ignore this crab. Now, the reasons for this are as follows. If the Graves does this, right? And he goes up here one shot, and he decides to go back to base, right? Because he has no smite or what have you. Then he will have to make a decision about which crab he wants to go for. This is most logical because this will be a tier 2 camp. However, if not enough time has passed, and this will be important about the 2-minute 15 spawn timers on the next patch, you have to consider how long you spend on the field to the point that your Wolves and Grum spawn. Because if your Wolves and Grum spawn, and you've been out in a while, and you see the Warwick go topside, and then this is a better decision. Now, what we don't know is that he's chosen to sort of smite the Raptors and stay out and do this. So basically what the Warwick is doing is saying, I assume he would have done that just by his body language, because if I don't go take this, the Graves can easily, freely heal up, take this, take the Warwick's tier 2 Grump, while Warwick is down here and resetting what have you. So it's basically cutting his losses on the bottom crab if the Graves chooses to go that direction, but most likely he would have not. Now, back in base, we get the boots and the Tiamat. That's absolutely huge. The cloth armor is, of course, very nice as well. This I'm not entirely a fan of. Obviously, you see a lot of high elo junglers talk about if you make this play, which I think is great. This is the correct play, right? A little messy down here, but this is the right play to cut the Graves off from this. Take this, and this is more valuable. Just because that experience, I understand you have all your itemization spikes and so on, but you want inherently now to go back and abuse bottom lane, get dragon, maybe look for the bottom crab if Graves has gone back to base at this point. So we have time to do the Wolves and then go to this part of the map because the Wolves are significantly higher value than the Raptors at this point. Because you already took them. So they're level 4, right? The Raptors were level 1. So he's basically traded in a Raptor level 1 camp for a Wolf camp that was level 4 at the exact same stage of the game. And now, of course, because you have sort of predictable pathing here, the Graves did those topside resets straight to the crab, as we talked about in the Nidlib video. Now you're behind on that tempo when the bottom lane has prio. Okay, so we at least get something, but I'm not really a fan of this whole thing at all. I don't think this is something that should have happened. You know? If you're gonna go back to base on this to get that crab, then you should probably go straight crab. I mean, hitting this plant is step 1. And you can see that here, right? At this point, he's gone back to base, he's done the Raptor camp. This plant is available to hit. He's just walking in blind. Their bottom lane has basically prio into the river, and Graves did one of the options that we expected, and now he's over here. So if you're gonna go for this in anticipation of the crowd, I think you should go straight forward. And I think you should use the plant to avoid any vision that you know must be here or here. So I hope that makes sense. Definitely is a better play in terms of going back and doing the Raptors, and in terms of stacking that experience advantage in your favor. And once you lose sight of bottom lane, going for this is inherently risky. And of course, giving kills, double kill to the Varus is not a good idea. Not a good idea. Now, we're going straight back down to the bottom side. We want to go for the crab no matter what, but Graves is there again. And he gets it. So, dumb. I don't like that at all. Nice run from the Lee Sanger here. Kills Humble God. And now he goes to the top side. And now you're in a level 1 wolf camp. You've got... Yeah, this... I don't like this part thing at all. I think you're missing out so much experience. Guys, giving the Graves a crab is okay. You have tier 3 Grom. Tier 2 wolves, which should be tier 3 wolves in my universe, and a blue buff. Plus, you know, his red buff is up. So if he floats on any sort of vision here with this available, well, you know what? I'm just going to flex and take it. And now, instead of being level 6, you're level 5. And the Yone can just, I think, well, die, I hope. He shows up. He does have the Q. Can he Q through that wall? No, right? But he has R up, so I guess this is not exactly what I was hoping for. I have not seen this game, for context. Does anyone know? I actually don't know Yone's Q dashes that well. I know obviously you can R over the wall and things like this, but Zillion is level 5, Warwick is level 5, and now most likely you're giving up your whole blue side, right? I would anticipate the Graves takes it. Darius is such a... Thank you. Darius. He decided to rotate and say, that's my jungler's blue. Oh, wait a second, that's my blue. So Warwick now is again bailed out, but he is just... His pathing and experience cadence, it is, Pepeg. It's the best way I can say it. This is just not good. Now Graves is dead, of course, thanks to the Darius, so we can easily gank bottom lane. We've got the Morgana Q. We don't have ult, though. I mean, we have flash, but we can't flash Q because we won't do enough damage. I don't like that we're... You know, this is one of those situations where doing the Raptors would have been a good idea. Now they're pinging his... Yeah, I see. They wanted to spam it, but they got it as it wasn't up. And now, of course, we can do this. But if Graves decided to respawn and come bottom side to counter gank this, it means you're going to be collapsed on. So this is... But he's dead, though, no? I mean, he's got flash up, but he's got no... he's got no R. Nice. Now they're invading the blue. Just do the dragon, man. If Rakan had to go back to base and Graves decided to go top side, this is free. Even if Graves decides to contest, you killed the Yone, so you have prio. I think this is fine. And now you've got an RNG crab that you can actually secure as well. Keep your eyes up for the Graves. We know where he is because of the minimap, but in game, the Warwick would not have known. So very messy. I hope you guys were able to... There he showed up. I hope you were able to sort of make sense of the fiesta of the pathing. But definitely the Gromp into Wolves, reset, straight down hit the plant. Don't fight it if you don't have prio. You can fall back to your Krugs, maybe look to repeat gank and counter gank and so on. Would have been much prettier. Right, tower tanking again. We hit the R. We get the shutdown, we take it. Now, he's dying a lot, but he got buffed. So this is okay in terms of a Warwick play, but as you can see, the Graves inherently will go for the opposite side. Now, there's really no point in going top side. He stole your blue side, he stole your blue. He's taking the Herald 100%, there's no way he isn't. Yone goes up top just for a little bit of protection, of course, to dive and yeet out if he needs to. Your whole red side is up, we must take that. But we're way behind where we should be, and the thing is, people oftentimes think that Warwick isn't a scaler. He can scale, and he does scale. Red? But we have camps. Level 7 Krugs. We could have just done down. I mean, I don't want to loop path it. Spaghetti path it, sorry. I don't want to sort of backtrack on myself, but you could easily just do this. As I said, I assume this is all dead anyway. And the lane that's going to carry us is apparently going to be the Cogmore. The Zillion is just going to be alive to keep the Cogmore alive. The Darius is doing fine on himself against the Dopers Lee Sin top lane. You lost a Herald, there's no objectives top side. There's only camps on the bottom side with a lot of experience. We should just be bottom side. We should just be bottom side. So this is actually turning into a bit of more of a coaching analysis, but that's fine. This is what we're here for, right? We're here to analyze and learn. That's fine. That happens if you are a Warwick main, we get what just happened. The hitbox is kind of funky and the speed boost, it's just weird. It's a gap closer. It's a suppression close range, long range, it's just a gap closer. You know, that's all we use it for. I don't know why we didn't just go for the crab into the bottom lane. This is also silly. We got this, we have a nice transition to the crab, and then we can gank bot. The Rakan is out of mana too. And you can actually impact this. I mean, it's tight, but he dies. I mean, I'd rather be here looking to make this play than going to Raptors. So, this is a very hyperactive Warwick style, and of course he is Master T, he knows what he's doing, but the champion, if you can get around this kind of bad pathing, imagine if your pathing was sublime and just next level. That's good though, he got there eventually. That's what the champion allows you to do with the W speed up. Water walking, of course, is nice too. He's just gonna, yep. Bye-bye. We'll take this stuff. He's going into the Tiamat Titanic Rush build. Now, I am a fan of getting the Balmy Cinder with your Tiamat just because Graves shown, so we know he's topside. Doing the Balmy Cinder and the Tiamat because it helps your clearing of these AoE camps just a little bit. And that's kind of big. Obviously, he's going to use Herald here for the double plates. Graves is doing a good job. He's 1, 3, and 4 because he's not playing particularly well himself. But again, the Warwick has forced himself to be on the wrong side of the map. But the dragon is spawning here, so it's fine. I would have taken the crab, though. I understand sort of why you wouldn't if there's a dragon coming. You kind of want to use that speed boost, but for us, the experience is too big, I feel. Okay, good. We have ult up, but it's... Okay, so he planned to do that. We'll talk about this in a second. Let's just watch it. Yep, fear goes through. And my friends, the importance of not always pressing E and then pressing R. Because, of course, when you press E and you hit R, it activates your E and you get a whole bunch of fears off. But, nice Q, baby. But the thing is, he has ult up. The thing is, if you E and then R in that situation and they get out, you will be unable to sustain the tower damage necessary to stay alive and do what he did. So that was a great use of holding the E, knowing that he's going to R, he's going to stick with them with his Q, and then he will use the E to tank the tower shot. It was very well played. And of course, by doing that, we set up prior for the Drake. Graves is restricted to... Again, I don't know what he's doing. He's farming a lot, but he's not really making the plays necessary to actually win the game. So objective control first and foremost, what we want to do with Warwick. And here we see this is better now. We just did something. We just did something. Let's look for a little bit of a translation gang, but we don't have our Cogmore. So in this case, you have to be very certain that you can kill them, and we can. Well done. Very good. No ult up, no need to chase. Too much. If that hits, we can maybe stick it out, but no need. Perfect. We don't really care about the Graves at this point. I mean, if we have a look here, he's just farming. He's not looking to rotate. He's just stacking it up. And this is the problem with the current jungle meta and why those changes are coming through. And I'll talk about this in the video I make when I eventually do. Whether that's tomorrow on the main channel or I wait until they've sort of finalized it. But there's no ways the Graves' playstyle should be rewarded over the Warwick's. You know what I mean? The Warwick, even if some of the pathing was not good, he should be punished for this. The pathing there, he should be punished for. And with the catch-up experience system, he won't get catch-up experience in this situation because the camps are spawning, you know, like you look here, this is level 9, he's level 10. You have to be 2 levels beneath the camp. You have to really be behind to get something, so wouldn't worry too much about it at all. That's a good R, but unfortunately it's Yone. Nice fear again. We've got the double bomb strategies. That hits. Another stun from Morgana. And anything with nice CC with Warwick is so good. Just lets you auto attack, Q, follow through their dashes, use your E and so on. Yeah, that's fine. Solid. But the Graves' playstyle, at my point, should not be rewarded. You know, at all. There's no reason in my mind that a guy that's got 1 Herald and just counter jungled a bit should be... who's died twice like this to the top laner, should be remotely ahead of the Warwick. At the very least, they should be in the same level. You know? The Warwick has 9 kills, 2 dragons, and he's down on a level. Come on. So, that's my piece on it, just briefly, but as a Warwick player, you guys all know this is the kind of style we like. Fear. There we go. Save your Q if they have a dash, but in this case they don't. You know, he's not even going Sunfire first here. He's gonna hold off on the Mythic. That's actually very interesting, and I think that's fine as well. I just think that the Sunfire is such a nice item. Good. We're forcing ourselves to be in the bottom side. I don't inherently like this because there is a Herald up. People don't have a lot of value for that Herald. I do think it's extremely useful in games when you are playing Warwick and such. Really strong. But nevertheless, if you choose to give it up, we can full sequence. 11-2-3, he's playing well. The catch-up game is good, right? We are fighting, and the mechanics are good. It's just some of the early pathing was a bit off, and that kind of prevented him from having the... Wow, nice. Prevented him from having the lead he deserved. No need to R, we have our Q... Alright. If there are fights, make sure we rotate. We have our team with us. It's good. Very good. I mean, the Varus you'll see in the damage graphs when you click the link. That's in the description below always, by the way. Now he's up in levels. Good. You'll see that the Varus did a lot of damage. Shield bow. Black shield. Auto attack. Q through. Tried to get to safety. We don't have anything up. Careful. But this is fine. I mean, it's a little messy at this point, but the fights at least have a point. I don't agree with... I don't agree with it always. But again... This is realistic to most of your game states, you know, idealistically we can say you should be doing X, Y, Z. or Z, excuse me. But if your team are fighting and there's objectives to be gained, let's get them. Third dragon is up. I don't like that we ignored that herald, by the way, at all. Can we make a pick? We want to break open this mid, but Varus. And now, Graves? Graves? See, this is what I'm talking about. Look at this. This is it. This is Warwick. This is why I love it. Look at him. He's just in the middle of 3 people. He's just in the middle of 3 people. Perfect. Fear is up again. I clicked on the wrong person. There we go. Perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. Beautiful. He made that. He made that. And you can do this whether you have the Sunfire or not. If you're going purely for a Titanic build, that's absolutely fine also. In fact, does he even get Sunfire this game? He does at the end. All right. I was just checking to see if I was griefing with the voiceover. I thought he by default went Sunfire, but it's more of like an add-on. That's a free Baron as well. You should have no issue closing games out from this point, by the way. Essentially, this was not the cleanest path in game. I don't advocate for the decisions made, and hopefully you understand why. The team fighting aspect, the rotational aspect, few things missing, but otherwise very solid. Good use of mechanics, good dives, good dragon control. That's what you need to carry games. So even with mistakes, as you can see in your elos, these mistakes will not be punished by people like Graves, and in the end, that lead you gain gives you now a 2-level lead, which I feel is justified. Control ward, let's clear it. And all you're looking to do here is support the Cogmore and not do this. So this would be considered a throw type play. I don't recommend it. But as always, if you can make the outplay, make the outplay. I just think you need to know your champion very well. Nice dodge. You need to know your champion, right? The fear will go through here, and we have R up as well to survive. There we go. But you die anyway. Varus just literally piercing arrow, just pierced them both. Their children will feel that. Right. This is kind of messy. Nothing really happens here, just a bunch of picks. I think here it's okay to just to farm. As you can see, just farm it up a little bit. Get your core itemization down, wait for the next objective. If you struggle with wave clear, you want to try and force a fight where the enemy team is kind of forced into making a bad decision. But I don't think we should be... Guys, this is EU West. This is not ARAM and A, right? We don't need to go mid and die 1,000 times. You've got side lanes that are not in the prime position. You've got a Darius who can split. You've got a Zillion who can split, who has TP. Nice kill again by... So, an assassin. You can take care of ADCs very nicely. Nice fear to disengage, but at this point... there we... they kited out the Zillion ult. That's unlucky. They get that. They get that. That's fine. I don't really want to watch the AFK farming bits of information. Same thing for a third time, right? First time, Cogmore died. Second time, someone else died, Darius. Third time, we're all here, and there's a Baron spawning. Let's look at the team fighting to see if we can actually win the game. The Varus damage. Okay, he uses his ult, that's perfect. Use your fear here. Disrupt the enemy team, very good. The Lee Sin has gone deep, so let him die, good. Now, once you've disrupted, you fall back to Kite, you become the front line. Ult the next priority target, which is the Yone here. Disrupt, that's great. Force him to use his ult on not the squishies. The rest of your team can handle that nicely. You can kill because you're Warwick and you've got a great itemization choice. Beautiful. Exactly right. That's how you want to team fight as Warwick. Keep that in mind. And at this point, the gold is equal, but you have a huge lead. And it will come down to a smite fight. I think the Graves here should definitely go for the steal. Great smite Q. Q smite with the Warwick is actually very strong. Well done. Well done. Now they can just reset and close. I think nothing really interesting. Really, honestly, from the KDA, and I think that's what you can learn a lot from this game. You look at the KDA on op.gg or u.gg, whatever, and you see 15-4-11. You think, it's not even done yet. You think that's mighty fine. Nice ult again. You think, hey, that's mighty fine. And we achieved this with some bad macro, with some bad decisions on pathing, and not positioning yourself in the best places in the early game. Yet, because he's Warwick, and because the champion I think is much stronger than people give credit for, and because he scales and teamfights like an absolute monster, and his mechanics are great on the champion, you're able to still get leads and impact it. Pick up Warwick today, guys. Sunfire, Titanic, not to be trifled with. You don't need to go Deadman's anymore because it's just not as good. The movement speed is nice against movement speed champions, but Randuin's, Thormail, don't underrate them at all. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. Don't forget to go to the main channel for the new tier list. Hack Room is dead. Praise Odin. Coaching links in the description below. I'll try and be back with another one of these tomorrow. And yeah. And I will see you all in the next tutorial. That was a weird face.